Hello, readers of YA Fiction. It's the morning and Friday, and I'm back like I said I'd be. Today I'll be talking about two books, Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan, and The Demon's Surrender by Sarah Reese Brennan. So starting with Will Grayson. It's getting progressively darker as it clouds over outside. Must beat the rain. So it's co-written by John Green and David Levithan. Now I'm a huge fan of John Green. He's from Vlogbrothers, a hilarious but also very informative YouTube channel he shares with his brother Hank, and he's a really great author. I love his books. David Levithan, however, I'd only read one of his books before, and that he co-wrote with Rachel Kahn, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which got made into an awesome movie. But this book more or less made me love them in equal parts. So it's about two main characters, both named Will Grayson, and at the beginning they had never met, but when they do meet, it's in a porn shop, which is strange, but it makes sense, and it's not in a pervy way that you might think. But one Will Grayson, written by John Green, he's kind of just a regular guy. He's a bit of a slacker. His best friend is like a huge guy named Tiny, who's gay and trying to stage like this play in their school about his life. And so a lot of the first Will Grayson's story is built around that, and also his crush on this girl named Jane. And then the other Will Grayson, his story, I found it a bit hard to follow at first, only because it's all written with no capitalization at all, which was interesting to differentiate, and also because he kind of has a really low self-esteem, so it makes sense that everything would be low. But so Will Grayson number 2, he's gay, and he with this girl Maura who's like in love with him, and it's funny because they have these personalities kind of balance each other out, and they work really well together. I loved Maura and Will 2's dialogue. It was awesome. And so he has this like online relationship with this guy named Isaac, and eventually he decides to meet Isaac in downtown Chicago, and he like gets the directions and stuff, but he winds up in a porn shop. And meanwhile, Will 1, he ends up in the porn shop because his fake ID got rejected at a club he was going to in Chicago because his age didn't match up with what was on the card or something. And so he wants to use his ID, and so he only uses it to get into a porn shop, just to use the ID in general. And so they meet up there, and Will 2 gets a phone call, and it's Maura, and she made Isaac up. She was Isaac, which was total bitch move, but she had like a stalker crush on a Will 2 or whatever. And so the two Will Graysons kind of hear each other's names and form a little friendship. They only kind of interact twice over the book, which is interesting. But yeah, and Will Grayson 2 starts to go with Tiny, and they have these other little connections, but they don't really interact. In my opinion, it was almost a perfect book. I loved it. I devoured it. I mean, I say that a lot, but I really enjoyed it. The tone was great. Both characters were really snarky and sarcastic, so the dialogue was very witty and fast-paced, and it just worked so well together. The characters were really wonderfully developed, and each had their own little quirks and sweet little things, and you really felt empathetic towards all the characters, even Maura, who turned out to be a huge bitch. But it was very funny. The characters were caustic, the language especially so, and I just thought it was a really great read, and it gave me such respect to both authors, because I liked them both, but now I just think, wow, they can do that, and together, like, I bet writing a book with someone else is so hard, because especially like get things to flow together and stuff, and if you're both writing about characters, but one person writes more about one, but all of a sudden you have to write about that one, I bet it's super confusing, but they pulled together, and it was awesome. On to book 2, The Demon's Surrender. Funnily enough, the Demons ... trilogy is the only one that I've now reviewed all 3 books, if you count the one I'm about to do. And you may remember a while ago when I reviewed the second one, The Demon's Covenant. I think that one was like really ranty, I remember. But anyway, I was on Twitter yesterday. You can follow me at Island of Avalon. So I follow Sarah Reese Brennan on Twitter, and I couldn't help but notice that she was talking about, or she tweeted about, like a video that put May in a good light. So apparently a lot of people hate May, the character May that I gushed about in that video. They call her a slut and stuff, and I love her. She's the one with the pink hair and the general badassery. And so Sarah Reese Brennan's tweet was like, check out this video that talks about how awesome May is. It's a great video. And I was like, awesome. A video that talks about May and tells the truth about how she's awesome. I use the word awesome a lot. And I was like, oh, I gotta click that. And I did. And it was my face. It was my video. So that was super exciting for me. So yeah, she apparently saw my video and liked it and posted it on Twitter. So that more or less made my nerdy day yesterday. So the Demon's Lexicon was third person narrated by Nick, Covenant was third person narrated by May, and Surrender is third person narrated by Sin. So Sin, until the third book, she was a major character, but in terms of major character, she was more of a minor character, if that makes sense. But she was one of the dancers at the Goblins Market, so she could use her dancing skills to call up demons that would then, for a price, talk to other people who were at the market. So maybe in one instance, like where their daughter was, she was buried, like for two people who call up the demons, she was apparently buried under an apple tree. Ew. So this book continues pretty soon after where Covenant left off, and I don't want to say too much for spoilers, but it really does wrap up the series. So Covenant left off with a lot of things in the open, and kind of left hanging. Characters, some were dead, some were kind of distraught, and it really does build on that. And what I like about the trilogy is it's less about romance and more about family relationships. So each of the main characters has like really tight bond with their siblings. So Nick and Alan are technically brothers, and May and Jamie are brother and sister, and Sin has two younger half siblings that she looks out for because their mother is dead. And so then that bond was never, the other two bonds were explored, but Sin's relationship with her siblings was never explored until this book. So I really like that, and that it focuses more on family than love, and even when it does focus on love, it's really pointed out, like especially by May, that it's not like you'll be settling down with one person for the rest of your life. It's more like who you're with at the time. And so the relationships do wrap up, and some are new and surprising. And I think Demon Surrender was my favorite of the three. I was not sure if I would like it as much as I did, only because May's my favorite character and I loved Covenant. But I thought that the storyline was even better in Surrender. Of course, because it's Sarah Reese Brennan, there's huge twists that make you like, wait, what's going on? And then, of course, revealed a bit later. And I love that. I love books that can do it and writers that can do it. And Sarah Reese Brennan is obviously awesome at doing that. I said awesome again. And I think it's a great read, and I think everyone should read that series. Like, it's definitely one of my favorite YA series, and I loved it. I think it had such an element of darkness, but it also had like this really morbid humor, and I really like that. So in conclusion, both books were really great for different reasons. Will Grayson was funny and sweet and a bit sad at points. So whole fruit salad of awesome. I gotta stop saying awesome. And Demon Surrender was like filled with badass characters, of course, and really great themes of relationships that you don't often see in most books. Usually it's more like, I love you, you're the love of my life, except I'm also attracted to that guy too, oh no, conundrum. But no, this was different, and I really like that, and I can't wait to see what Sarah Reese Brennan does next. She does have a new series coming out next year, I believe, and I can't wait to see what she does. See you next Friday.